Hey guys, today we are going to be talking about grading. Is it needed in today's card world? Maybe, maybe not. Let's kind of talk this through. I think it's an interesting topic, especially with some of the new developments that are going on. Stick with us. Hello to all my sports card collector, investor, all my collectibles friends. It is Monday. Guys, I am 40 today. I am a 40-year-old man. I have crossed over. I am over the hill, as they would say, or as my wife likes to remind me. Just kidding. She would never say that to me. All right, maybe she would. Maybe she would. I'm getting up there, guys. 40. But you know what? I will say that although the last 12 months has been trying, certainly we've had loss, we've had, different obstacles that we've been going through as a family. This has also been one of the better years that I've had this ever in my whole life. And a lot of it has to do with you all in this community, in this channel, and getting back into a hobby that I really, really enjoy and love. Collectibles has really kind of given me happiness during kind of my midlife crisis, as I like to joke about it, sort of a joke, but so thanks very much for joining me here on this channel. I enjoy talking with you in the comments and, just being here with you guys each day. It's awesome. This can be a controversial topic, I think, for some. Grading, I think as a whole, third-party grading for all collectibles, whether you're talking about sports cards, comic books, rare coins, starting lineups, I've got a variety of different things. But I think that it adds legitimacy to those markets. It very much helps establish a standard that can be used by collectors, investors to be able to barter, buy and sell those items. And so I do like third-party grading as a whole is necessary and needed. So this is not me saying we need to do away with grading. No, not even close to that. But I think that the landscape is changing. There are some new developments. There's some things that are different. And as this market kind of grows and adapts, I think that it's important, at least for me, that I need to kind of look at this and adapt as well, because there might be opportunities that I'm overlooking because I'm kind of thinking along the status quo. This is kind of what everybody's been doing. This is the way that the market has been going. And so I need to make sure that I'm not getting caught up in that kind of confirmation bias that comes with the way things have always been done. Because the reality is, guys, is that whether it be any industry or market, things change. They really do. And even if we don't want them or don't like that, things change. I think Gary Vee made a really funny analogy of the people on horseback that were arguing with, Henry Ford about, the automobile. And that'll never be a success. And that's dumb. It's kind of that transition. It's always a transition in something new. I don't think it's going to be that as drastic as horseback to the automobile for the sports card market. But you understand the analogy that I'm making, that people don't like change. Most people don't like change, so this is where we're starting to see some evolution in this market. Something that I've seen that's starting to happen more and more is I'm seeing raw copies of cards that are more scarce that are going for as much, if not more, than what a PSA 8 or PSA 9 would look like price-wise. So I think that when we're looking at, now look, if we're looking at base card rookies, the random Prism rookie and a PSA 10, maybe that uniformity of the PSA 9, PSA 10 grades can help as far as, figuring out values and figuring out pricing. But where I think that there's a little bit of, variance is if you have rare cards, numbered cards, and we did see, I think that it was a Golden Auction or Heritage or one of these auction houses. This was a month or two ago back on a good channel that I like watching, Chris at Baseball Card Collector Investor Dealer, in that order. He had a great video about he mentioned a raw Patrick Mahomes RPA. It wasn't even graded and it went for over $50,000. The argument could be that, oh man, if you had gotten that graded, you could have gotten $200,000 for it. Maybe, but maybe not when you get into more of the scarce stuff. And I know we're talking about a Mahomes RPA is kind of top of the market type stuff, but I think you can also kind of bring that back down to lower priced cards as well. even just, autos, RPAs of just players that are not Patrick Mahomes, RPAs of other QBs, of maybe running backs. If you go to basketball, there's also examples of this as well. So if you're dealing with a scarce card, the need for grade is not as necessary unless you might be trying to authenticate a patch or authenticate an auto. You want to make sure the card's real. It wasn't counterfeited. But even there, though, the grading companies, as good as they are and as much as they try and everything else, there has still been instances of, trimming that's slipped by, patches that have been faked. We've seen it, and there are cards. We don't know the percentage. We don't know the percentage of these cards that are sitting in a BGS or a PSA or an SGC slab where it's got a fake patch. We don't know that, but they're out there. They're out there, and so I can understand kind of wanting to make sure that it's an authentic card, but even there's still risk that even if you do get it graded, it's not necessarily, you are getting eyes on it, another set of eyes from professionals, but it's no guarantee that that patch is real. It probably is. And that's part of the risk with collectibles as a whole. Sports cards and comic books. Of course, you could have a comic book that's restored, that gets by at CGC to where they missed it. They missed where there was a restoration done, and so they give it a blue label when it should have got a purple label. That's going to happen. Now, where it gets a little interesting is now you bring AI into the equation, and if there's artificial intelligence that can scan a comic book on the cover, scan through every page, and more easily catches, problems that are there. Same with a card. If they're able to kind of scan that and see like, oh, there's this and this and this, that is going to create more accurate grading. Now, there's a lot of speculation of, do current PSA slabs, are they lower in price? Do they become lower in price once AI is introduced and you get essentially, I guess, a better, more accurate grade? I guess that would be the goal of AI, is to create consistency and more accuracy. I think that we don't know the answer to that yet. The market is going to dictate that, and we don't know if it's going to be a 0% reduction in value. Maybe people will look at it exactly the same. Maybe it'll be 10%. Maybe it'll be 50%. We just don't know. We don't know the answers. And that's another kind of, again, like grading has been around for 20 years. Sports cards have been around for 100 plus years. But grading has only really been around for about 20 years. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a long time. It's just not. Things can change. Obviously, technology is coming into it. Me personally, I don't think that it's drastically going to reduce the value of a PSA 10. I think that when you hear people say buy the card, not the grade, I think that what's going to happen is it's going to make the hobby smarter in the sense that people are going to be looking a lot closer at that PSA 10 or that PSA 9 or the SGC 10 or the BGS 9.5 or whatever that card is. I think they're going to be paying very, very close attention to corners and the edges and the surface and all the stuff. They're going to be looking very, very closely at all of those things. And so I think actually what's going to happen is the hobby is going to become smarter, and it might become less relevant if it's a PSA 10 or an SGC 10 or a BGS 10, or a BGS 9.5. It might. I guess my point is it might kind of close the gap on a lot of those companies, because it's really just going to boil down to, okay, this was a highly graded card. Whether it's the big three that graded it, if those are the companies that are kind of trusted in the market, it might become less relevant which one of the three it is. Now, you're always going to have people that are PSA people. You're going to have SGC people, and you're going to have people that just swear by BGS, and that's who they want to use. And a lot of those are old time kind of, people that have, I don't mean old, but people that have been in the market for a little while, and that's what they like, and they trust those grades, they trust those companies. But you also have to factor in new people coming into the hobby, which is happening every day. And what are they going to think? How are they going to take it? Are they going to listen to kind of the folks that have been in for 10, 15, 20, 30 years? Or are they going to say, you know what? I hear you, but I'm thinking differently on this. I'm bringing a new perspective to it. That's interesting, so it's the market will always be evolving and adapting, but I'm just kind of putting these thoughts out there. And I want your feedback too. What do you think about this? This is I wouldn't call it a controversial topic, but it gets people a little bit, it gets the debate fire going a little bit. It gets people kind of riled up because they're PSA people or they're BGS people. And this is not me saying one is better than the other, or that none are any good. It's simply saying that if you bring AI into the equation and AI is covering, let's say it's starting off covering 25% of the grade. Maybe it's just helping to kind of get the processing going. Maybe in 5 or 10 years, it's covering 75% of the grade. And then you have a human that's just kind of looking over it at the end saying like, okay, that looks right. Tick, 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 tick. Looks good to me. Gone. I mean, from a grading company standpoint, that's a dream because you're highly efficient. You can grade a lot more cards very, very quickly. I think that's kind of the goal of a company, to make sure you have accurate grades and that you can do it quickly and efficiently and do it at a right price value for the customer. Win, win, win for everybody. So, I think that's where it's going. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea. I might be completely wrong. Maybe they'll try AI and say like, you know what? This stinks. We're going, we're throwing it out. It's not good. It's not working. Who knows? None of us do. But I think this goes back to, where a lot of the hobbyists that have been in for a long time, smart hobbyists that really understand how to look at a card and understand quality, where you'll hear it, buy the card, not the grade. I think that's going to become more and more pronounced for the cards, especially that have, if AI comes in and takes over, the stuff that is not AI helped, AI assisted, I think it's going to be more of like, look at that card, look at it up and down and really understand it, and that's going to be the way of, I think it's going to make everyone a little bit smarter. Buy the card, not the grade is stuff that, I hear it all the time and I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, but I trust the graders. Now I'm kind of like, I'm going to look a little closer at the cards. So, great advice. I love it. And I think that, for me personally, I'm starting to look at more higher end sets. So I'm looking at National Treasures, Exquisite. I would say those are the two because frankly, between football and basketball cards, there's a lot of options, and the National Treasures and Exquisite, the sets. The one thing that I've noticed that's very interesting is boxes of that stuff are astronomically priced, yet on the secondary market, singles for particular players are fairly reasonable price-wise, depending on what player you're targeting, depending on which set, depending if it's an auto, if it's a patch, if it's a Hall of Fame player that's already retired, or if it's a current player playing. I'm finding some what I feel to be values. And I've also talked to some of my viewership as well. They've pinged me directly and said like, hey, I just picked up this particular player that I really like, National Treasures. And it's a process. They're essentially prospecting on, someone having a good season coming ahead. But it's like with card prices coming down, and, what's happening is as a whole, you have a lot of cards at 12, over the last 12 months have been very expensive. National Treasures, Exquisite would be in that mix, of course, being premium sets. Now, all of a sudden, these cards are becoming more affordable, prices coming down. And now it's like, oh, okay. Now, why am I buying Optic, when I can get National Treasures numbered out of, 99 or numbered out of 150. And what I'm looking at is even raw. So not necessarily, if it's National Treasures, looks good. There's 10 pictures on there and it looks, fairly good. It almost doesn't matter to me as much if that's a BGS 8 or if it's a PSA 10. What I care about is that there's 99 of them or 49 of them in existence. That's more of my focus right now because I know a perfect example of this is the green PMG Michael Jordan where Nat Turner owns, I believe he's the one that owns the altered card. It's not even great. It's not even graded. It's just graded altered. And essentially I think he paid $300,000-$400,000 for it. But that's a grail card in this market. And because of the scarcity of that card, he was perfectly fine with it being altered. Doesn't matter to him. He just wanted that particular card. And so that's the point here, I think, is if you're looking at scarcity, rarity, for me, that's where my head is at right now, is just thinking about National Treasures and Exquisite. And I'll be talking more and more about it. I'll probably do a video dedicated to that stuff. But I wanted to kind of throw that out there. Guys, a lot to unpack here. We're kind of throwing out a large subject and just kind of talking it, little nuances of it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Am I crazy? Do I not know what I'm talking about here? You think I'm way off? And that's okay. I'm fine with that. This is all up for debate. Everyone's going to have their own opinion and I respect your opinion. So guys, have an amazing Monday and I will talk to you again later. Take care.